What if Azula lost her powers? What if Azula became the Dark Avatar? What if Azula ended the Avatar cycle entirely?
What is this about?
Let's check out the alternate timelines that could have happened if Azula was never defeated in this Agni Kai. Timeline number 1. What if Azula defeated Zuko?
You want to be Fire Lord? Fine, let's settle this.
To quickly set the scene, Sozin's comet was amplifying their firebending, and Katara was on the sideline, ready to help Zuko if needed. But what if she wasn't there? What if Katara did not join Zuko?
Just you and me, brother.
That means that Azula wouldn't have Katara to shoot lightning at, which means Zuko might not have broken his concentration, which means that Zuko could just redirect the lightning at Azula, right?
That was surprisingly easy.
Well, Azula would probably still trick Zuko one way or another.
Azula always lies.
Perhaps she'd take a stab at Zuko's heartstrings, just long enough to catch him off guard.
We are brother and sister.
Then, if in the moment, Zuko decides not to redirect the bolt at his sister, it'd give Azula the opening for a knockout punch.
I am about to celebrate becoming an only child!
Could have been very similar to Avatar Aang, who didn't have the heart to fry Ozai. Or perhaps Zuko just couldn't redirect lightning properly. After all, he's only done it once before, and Ozai wasn't strengthened by Sozin's comet at that time. Without the pressure to save Katara's life, it's very possible that Zuko's emotions would be his own downfall.
Goodbye, Zuko.
And that Zuko's life could end in this Agni Kai. Azula winds up being crowned the undisputed Fire Lord.
Fire Lord Azula? It does seem appropriate.
She wouldn't have enough firepower to go after Avatar Aang, not after he just stripped her father of his powers. So she'd play it smart, like she always does.
We are the Avatar's humble servants.
Reformed Azula, diplomatic Azula, whatever mask she'd put on, figuratively or literally, she'd tread cautiously with Avatar Aang. And Aang would probably give Azula a chance?
Everyone, even the Fire Lord and the Fire Nation, have to be treated like they're worth giving a chance.
Still though, Azula would have her core beliefs, like A, firebenders were better than everybody else, and B, she's better than any other firebender.
True power, the divine right to rule, is something you're born with.
It'd only be a matter of time until those beliefs caused an uproar. In the true timeline, Aang eventually realized the four nations don't need to be separate to be balanced. That eventually led to the formation of Republic City. And granted, part of that was thanks to Fire Lord Zuko, but let's assume that Aang would come to that conclusion one way or another. Now take that intent to our hypothetical timeline. Aang is trying to break down the barriers between nations and build a stronger global community.
What would Azula do?
Fire Lord Azula would not be about it. No way Azula would let Aang chase the face of her domain. But how would she stop the Avatar? With political maneuvers? Military threats? Well, the Fire Nation military would still be recovering after Sozin's comet, and the whole world is back in the Avatar. But Azula has pushed Aang to his limits in the past.
Do you really want to fight me?
So maybe in a fit of overconfidence, she'd challenge him to fight for his unified future one-on-one.
The Avatar's mine.
Who would win? Well, with Avatar Aang's energy bending skills, our money is on Aang taking away Azula's powers. Just like he did with Ozai. And all of that would lead to Azula locked up and powerless, just like her father.
What did you do to me?
We've seen her locked up in the true timeline, but in our hypothetical situation, Zuko would no longer be around and would not be the result of her eventual escape. So time would pass, lots of time. We're talking Age of Korra type of time, okay? She would wait it out, hating every second of it, and waiting for that perfect moment to seek revenge.
I will not hesitate to bring you down.
As a VIP prisoner without powers, she'd probably wind up in a facility within Republic City, the very place she fought to avoid. From there, two major possibilities might occur. In possibility one, she seizes her big opportunity during Amon's Equalist Uprising.
The only thing bending has brought to the world is suffering.
This is a world where jailbreaks aren't uncommon. Couldn't you imagine the Equalists breaking Azula out of jail to plot the demise of Avatar Korra? Azula could easily be a spokesperson for Amon's rallies.
Anyone who harbors these traitors will face the wrath of the
Revelation.
She, in this timeline, will have known life with and without bending. And to serve her own goals, she could easily spin a tale of non-bender superiority. Further down the line, if AMON were to escape, as he did in reality, then an abandoned, incriminated Azula with decades of hate for the Avatar would probably find herself in a battle against Korra.
You want to fight the Avatar? Then let's finish this.
And spoiler alert, we've predicted a few possibilities where Azula might battle Avatar Korra one-on-one. But in this hypothetical, when Azula's been in jail for decades and she's an old woman who can no longer firebend, even if Korra could only airbend, she'd likely push this old woman to her breaking point. It wouldn't end well for Azula. The former Fire Lord might meet a grim ending by the hands of Avatar Korra, and decades after her predecessor Avatar Aang took away Azula's powers, Korra might very well take away Azula's life.
She's gone.
Or Azula would just spend the rest of her life in maximum security prison. Either or. But what if she waited for a different crisis? Korra did face several horrendous challengers, and one of the most powerful was UNALAQ.
Let's open this portal and lead your father and the entire Southern Water Tribe in the right direction.
Keep in mind, this man is another manipulator. UNALAQ's not above keeping a secret and playing nice with the Avatar, despite his nefarious plans.
It's terrible when you can't trust the people who are closest to you.
It feels like UNALAQ and Azula would get along fabulously. So let's just say that UNALAQ is responsible for freeing Azula.
You want to go free?
What is this about?
With his political influence, perhaps he convinces Republic City that Azula is harmless and has suffered enough, so she's set free. Then secretly, UNALAQ uses Azula to learn about the Avatar.
I have great plans for you.
What insights about Avatar Aang could help UNALAQ become the Dark Avatar? Well, joke's on you, UNALAQ, because once Azula gets a whiff of power, a faint hope of getting her firebending back, she'd be like an eel hound, stopping at nothing to take UNALAQ's place as the Dark Avatar. And perhaps it'd be as easy as running in between UNALAQ and Vaatu in this one moment. Thus presenting Avatar Azula, quite possibly the most terrifying outcome. What would happen with Azula as the Dark Avatar?
Oh, it sounds like the firebending's back on.
Her firebending would return, so she'd probably make this a quick and easy task, eliminating Rava with a signature bolt of electricity instead of waterless. And she may still seek out 10,000 years of darkness, especially if it involves destroying Republic City, the symbol of her downfall. Oh, and this moment? Yeah, this would definitely still happen. Azula wouldn't hesitate to destroy the Avatar Aang statue. But would she win against Spirit Korra? Consider the return of Azula's lightning bending. One massive bolt to the water surrounding Korra could result in a painful, powerful, shocking ending.
I'm sorry it has to end this way.
In this timeline, if Azula were to manipulate her way into becoming the Dark Avatar, Azula wins, and the world suffers 10,000 years of darkness at the hands of Avatar Azula.
Now it's over.
But that'd be crazy, right? Of course, all that depends on Zuko facing Azula alone. Let's reset to the original Agni Kai. In this next timeline, we're talking about what might happen if Azula beat Katara.
There you are, filthy peasant!
I mean, it already came down to a photo finish. Just look at how closely Azula was to striking Katara with a knockout blow. If the water Katara drew from was actually too shallow, then that could have been the end of Sokka's only sister and Avatar Aang's future wife.
Goodbye!
Avatar Aang would go on a warpath. Remember what happened when Aang found out Appa was stolen? Imagine how angry he'd be about Katara.
Just get out of here! Run!
So let's say that Avatar Aang begins hunting for Azula. Azula has no choice but to abandon the throne to go on the run. She wouldn't want to end up like Ozai. A non-bender can't hold the throne, right?
Then it's time to leave.
While on the run, Azula could have all sorts of schemes. For example, Zuko probably would have been healed by some northern waterbender allies.
I'd really rather our family physician look after little Zuzu, if you don't mind.
And then he'd take over the abandoned throne, which would also infuriate Azula, seeing her brother in that seat. So Azula might still kidnap some children in a plot to undermine Fire Lord Zuko. Or she might just stir up trouble via the underground cult, the new Ozai Society. Either way, Avatar Aang would no doubt find her, eventually. Which would lead to Avatar Aang versus Azula.
You and your forefathers have devastated the balance of this world!
And since her father, the Phoenix King, couldn't even beat Aang with some comet-fueled firebending, and regular non-comet-fueled Azula probably wouldn't succeed against the Avatar. This feels like another scenario where Azula winds up powerless and in jail. Sounds like the last time, right? Azula, powerless in jail. But the difference here is, since Azula never, really defeated Zuko, never finished the job, then Zuko would wind up as the Fire Lord again.
All hail Fire Lord Zuko!
Which means that sooner or later, Zuko would come to Azula asking for information about Ursa.
Where is my mother?
Prince Zuko would still want to learn more about his mother's disappearance, and Azula might still give him a lead. After killing Katara, the princess probably wouldn't be invited onto the trip. So let's say she takes advantage of Zuko's absence, escapes, and then follows his trail to Ursa, just like she followed Appa's trail long before.
You can run, but I'll catch you.
All this for the sake of her own agenda, one that she had in the true timeline, and that agenda is to kill Ursa.
I think it's time for a family reunion.
We saw this attempt from a version of Azula who had powers. Now without, Azula wouldn't just dive into it like she does here. No, she would have to be more cunning than that. But how would Azula try to kill her mother without bending?
If I want to catch my prey, I must be agile.
We know that Azula respected Ozai most of all. And we know that Ozai had Ursa kill his father, Azulon, using poison. So what if Azula took out Ursa using the same technique? With Azula's stealthiness and the surprise advantage, it'd only be a matter of time until Azula used poison to commit matricide. Now that would be full circle. A deeply tragic circle.
My own mother thought I was a monster. She was right, of course, but it still hurt.
And with his mother dead, and Azula, who might end up standing there, gloating as she does, we think Fire Lord Zuko would take a deadly strike at his sister, ending the ruthless killer.
Family are the only ones you can really trust.
But there's gotta be a more positive twist, right? We discussed if Azula beat Zuko or Azula beat Katara, but what if she didn't even fight? Instead, what if Azula resigned peacefully?
I'm done. I know when I'm beaten.
What if Azula recognized the odds against her and acknowledged her troubled mental state as a result of taking the throne, perhaps a bit prematurely, and then she decides to pass the throne on to Zuko to buy herself time?
You got me. A princess surrenders with honor.
Azula would still want to be close to the throne. She'd work to influence and manipulate Fire Lord Zuko. She'd push him away from the construction of Republic City.
I think you should take their precious hope and the rest of their land and burn it all to the ground.
Or convince him to favor traditional Fire Nation values. But all the while, she'd be terrified of Ozai's unfortunate fate. She'd be terrified of losing her bending. So she'd wait until the passing of Avatar Aang to make any real moves.
We have been presented with an extraordinary opportunity.
Avatar Aang passes, and Azula, for all she's concerned about, is free to make bigger, drastic schemes. Those moves could involve the Red Lotus.
Red Lotus?
After all, she would have had time to investigate the order of the White Lotus, especially since it was her own uncle's charge that rescued Ba Sing Se, a city she worked so hard to take control of. Over the years, we imagine that Azula would align herself with Zahir. With her closeness to the throne, she becomes an invaluable member of the Red Lotus, much more than Ai Wei, another high-level consultant whose usefulness ran short. Let's take a big jump then to this moment, where the Red Lotus was planning to end the Avatar cycle entirely. Korra's been fed the poison, and they're just waiting for her to enter the Avatar state.
Yes. When we dispatch you in the Avatar state, the cycle will end.
Azula would probably be right in the center of it all. I mean, decades earlier, she nearly killed an Avatar in a very similar environment. So, this is like deja vu for her. But how would Azula approach a weak, poisoned Avatar Korra, who was fighting against her own powers? A general burst of lightning could be used to push Avatar Korra into the Avatar state.
I'll show you lightning!
But that electricity would probably channel into the chains like a grounded lightning rod. That could also heat up the metal of those chains, giving Korra the chance to break free. Then in offense, who's to say Azula wouldn't meet the same fate as... Or, with Korra fighting in and out of the Avatar state, perhaps it would just require one well-timed lightning bolt to the spine of Avatar Korra to finish it all.
This fight is over.
If she was in the Avatar state, however briefly, then that would be the end of the Avatar cycle, forever.
We've defeated you for all time. You will never rise from the ashes of your shame and humiliation.
So Azula's master plan, the strike against the Avatar that she attempted decades earlier, would finally hit its target.
Now that sounds like a fascinating and brilliant plan.
But there's so many variables. Azula is cunning, charismatic, aggressive, smart. There could be unimaginable outcomes had she never been defeated in that Agni Kai. So tell us what you think might happen. Comment below, be sure to like and subscribe, and keep watching for all things Avatar.
What an exquisite performance. I can't wait to see how you'll top yourself tomorrow.